everybody, welcome to the FIA Show. That stands for the Fuck It All Show. And again, it's my personal excuse to drink beer and talk about money. So, you know what? Something I've been thinking about a lot lately with the FIA Show, it's, you know, people ask a lot what it's about, and it's really about condensing your career, right? Most people end up looking at life and you have a 40-year work life, right? With the FIA and that whole fuck it all number, it's really about condensing it into a shorter, harder period of time, right? So instead of doing something that you don't really like for 40 years, you do something that you love that takes a lot out of you and is really hard and some sacrifice for 10 years, but then you can say fuck it and do what you want to do. And I think I've got two amazing people here. One guy who's already retired once, I think he's going to retire like 3 more times by the time he's 60. And that's Dave Stala. So Dave, thank you so much for coming out. You know, I've known you since you played ball, and also now you're a real estate investor, and I'm really glad you came out, man.
No, thank you,
Brian.
so much,
brother. I appreciate it, man. Totally. And then to my right, I gotta say, you don't brand yourself this way, but you gotta be the nicest person I've ever met in the world, Shannon. You know, seriously. Like, so Shannon is a real estate agent extraordinaire with RE/MAX Escarpment. You've got the Sullivan team. You've helped hundreds of thousands of people get into homes.
Hundreds of thousands. Ooh.
Okay, well, yeah, a lot, okay. And you're a real estate investor as well, too.
Yes, yep,
Right.
yeah, I am. Yeah.
So I want to say thank you so much for being here.
Anytime, anything for you.
So I want to jump in and just talk to you guys about like that first investment property, because I think a lot of people that tune into this stuff, they're really scared to buy their first house, right?
Sure. No, I mean, first time I got a chance to buy, it was kind of unique because I was playing football at the time, so I knew I had tenants. Every year players come in, so the one year I was already getting tenants, right? So I already knew I had tenants before I purchased the property. So
that's
it was
awesome.
a unique, a unique situation for me. And actually, that house has been, a tenant for the last couple of years because of that situation. But not everyone has that, opportunity or that chance. But the one thing is, even our second investment property, we had a family member move into it. So that's another way to do it. If you have a family brother or sister that's renting somewhere else, possibly get them out of where they're renting and pay you for the mortgage, right? So yeah. I think that's a good idea. So that's what we did in the past.
I think that's awesome because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because you see this a lot in real estate, I think sometimes the number one fear is getting tenants.
Yes.
Good tenants.
Not finding a good tenant, yeah.
Was that one of your fears at all when you got your first place, or what were your fears about buying your first one?
I actually lucked out because the property I found had an amazing tenant already there, so I was able to go back to the property a few times before I even put the offer in and saw how they lived, how they treated the place, met with them, and
gave them drug tests.
Just about, no, I got to meet their kids, and honestly, I told them, like, don't ever move, because if you do, wait, because I'll buy you another place to live in, because they're just such great tenants. And yeah, I really lucked out for the first one. But
that's awesome.
I mean, if anyone's scared to get a tenant, that's where the real estate agent comes in. I mean, that's our job, and we screen them, and we do as much as we can on the front end of stuff before you have to commit to a tenant, so we help out with it.
See, I see a lot of times in the mortgage world when people are looking to buy a property, I think that's probably the biggest fear is getting a tenant.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone that says, like, oh my God, like, I'm not buying a rental unless I have a guaranteed tenant, or someone who buys a vacant property, like, what would you say to them, or what would your advice to that person be?
It always depends what you want to do. The one thing you said about a good tenant, sometimes I was going to say, is you don't want to really increase rent on them either. Like a good tenant, you might want to just keep for a little bit, because sometimes it's hard. Well, it's tough because you have a good tenant. Why are you going to raise rent for $25-50 a year? It's a tough situation.
I know why.
I understand, but sometimes it's better to just keep the rent at that price, just to keep it.
Well, and you know what? And my challenge with that, because I completely share your vision on that, right? And I look at my situation now. I've got people living in a house, a 3-bedroom house right now that I bought about 8 or 9 years ago for $800 a month. I should win the world's nicest landlord award.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough.
But it's because I didn't. It's because I had great tenants and they were awesome. They're still awesome. But I didn't do my 10 cent a year raises or my 1 or 2%, right? And I agree with what you're saying, but over time
you have to. You're right.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think I started increasing until year 2. But cost of maintenance, paying my, my father-in-law for property maintenance, all that stuff, that kind of just went up too. But also, I've seen it where investors want to, for whatever reason, it wasn't their long-term plan, but they said, oh, I'm going to sell my investment property. The tenant's only paying $1,000 a month. And then basically the saleability of that property, it goes down, because if an investor is going to be buying it, they're most likely going to have to assume the tenants, right? So that's the only.
We did have an issue one time. We had a tenant. She said she was paying $300 a month. There's no lease there. Oh, was it? Yeah. This was last year. Yeah. So we went to court and all that stuff. It was a problem.
And how bad is that? Because a lot of people are scared shitless of going to court, right? When you go to the landlord rental, when you go to the rental tribunal and all that stuff. I know I've had, and always. Did you guys? I might be too old. Remember Night Court?
Well, yeah.
That show? You remember that show? Okay, whatever. It reminds me of being in Night Court sometimes. They're arguing over a fridge, and I'm like, oh my god. Take the fridge. Get out.
I don't know. Sometimes you have to do it though. Like you're saying, I'm saying don't raise rent, but again, $300 is to have a three bedroom apartment, like a duplex, and we had to go through process, and you feel bad too for the family, right?
Oh, totally. You have a heart. But it's
like,
make sure that
we didn't have a tenant downstairs, so we're paying for the property for them to live in. It doesn't make sense for us until we figure things out and then do all what we wanted to do it.
Nope, I agree.
For sure. I can say though, for tenants though, if someone's worried about getting a good tenant, the last 3 leases that I've done in the last month and a half, we've had the last one I had 6 offers on it, and outstanding tenants, like outstanding working professionals, amazing. They were even offering, more months up front. Like it was crazy. It was really hard to pick just one person.
And I think that's happening in Hamilton right now more and more, because there's a shortage of rental properties. The prices are going up, things are going up. But are you finding that too, that there's a shortage of good rental space? Like when you have a vacancy come up, are you filling it pretty quick?
Yeah, it's pretty quick. We're getting a lot of calls and stuff like that, I find. But again, when you're talking about that, like if you have a hard time renting by yourself, you can always get a real estate agent. There's property management that do it. So
it's a good real estate agent right here.
There's different ways to do it, right? It just that shouldn't be a fear. The biggest fear is buying the property and pulling the trigger.
So I agree with that. So on that note, because I agree, what do you think is the best for someone to start out? So somebody's watching going, I'm dying to get into real estate. I want to buy an investment property. I've been on the fence. Do I go condo? Do I go single family? Do I go duplex, triplex, hotel? What am I buying?
It depends your budget, first of all.
You should be a mortgage broker.
I don't know.
I told you that?
But I mean, I think, I thought about it.
We'll talk after.
But no, I think duplex, if you're not sure what you want to buy, if you can buy a 2-unit, live in the 1 unit, rent the other, so now you're covering it, and then eventually, hopefully, that becomes a rental after, and then you can buy your dream house or whatever the situation is. But I think if you're nervous to get into a situation, buy a 2-unit, so your tenant pays for half your mortgage, or
Totally.
What do you think?
I agree. I was in a little bit of a different situation. I hadn't even bought my personal residence before I bought I bought a rental before my personal.
That's awesome.
Residence.
That's good though.
So for me, I got a single family residence, and it was awesome. No headaches. I almost, it's very low key, whereas I find with some of our properties that are like 2-family, you have utilities and stuff like that. And it all depends on how you want
to slice it and dice it.
Yes.
I agree.
If you want to take care of utilities, if you want them to split utility, there's a little bit more to think about.
You're right.
Whereas I found single family was just, easier.
I equate like the duplex and triplex sometimes to running a daycare.
Well,
oh, Dave, he did this. Dave, he did this. Like, Jesus, like, you guys are adults. Can't you just get along? You know what I mean? But I think the good thing with the duplex, that was my plan. My first house was a duplex, lived in one, rented out the top.
Yep.
And I think you get more cash flow on a duplex than you do on a single family.
See, that's one thing. I say that, but we bought all single family homes. I think all of them were.
Yeah.
And the ones that had kitchens, we removed the kitchen on the second floor. So now looking back, I wish I kept the kitchen. They had it. I mean, when I bought the house, it was rented already to a single family, so that's why I took the kitchen out. It was a situation at the time.
Yeah.
So it was but again, if it was...
I think you had a unique situation too. You had almost guaranteed tenants all
for a
the time,
while,
right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all about the baby steps though. Like, just it was new to me getting a rental, and so it was a nice transition, I think.
Yeah.
But the 2-family for me has been some of the greatest properties that we have, and just really great. It's been almost opening up more doors. Like, we've had the opportunity to save even more to buy another property.
Yeah, because the cash flow's there.
Definitely.
Right? I know. I think the single family, like you say, I think it's a great way to kind of dip your toe in the water.
Yeah.
You get a property because, like, you're responsible for utilities, you're responsible for everything. I tell you the thing I used to hate most when I had my first duplex, I'm sure this happened to you guys before, you drive by the house just to make sure it's still standing and look at your nice investment, and it's the middle of winter, and the window's wide open, and the heat's on, and then you're just dollar signs billowing out, you know what I mean?
I know.
Can't control it.
I know.
It is, right? That's what you sign up for.
I know. But if that's the worst thing that happened, would not do it.
Totally.
Well, we had a bill for 2 months for $1,000 one time.
Yeah.
On a rental property, because we do all-inclusive, one of them.
Yeah. So is that on the heat or the hydro?
Yeah. No, 2 months. The heated bill was for $1,000. I didn't know what happened. We got a call from them.
They open up a sweatshop?
At the end of the day, the numbers all make sense. So,
They do.
you know, it rounds off, but it was ridiculous. But you don't know what they're doing, right? Like, sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I like this, and let's talk about horror stories, if you guys don't mind. Only because, like, I think, you know, the water cooler conversation, the guy or the girl who's looking to buy their first investment property always hears this shit first. They always hear, don't ever buy a rental, because this guy, like, someone picked up the house, put it on a truck, and drove away with it.
The headaches.
You know what I mean? But that never happens, right? But tell me, like, what's the worst thing that happened to you, I guess, when it comes down to a tenant or something that happened?
God, I've been really lucky. I've been really lucky.
Okay, I got lots then.
Yeah. Well, I've heard of lots, and my partner has some crazy cool stories, but not really cool. But I guess honestly, for me, it's been more tenant-to-tenant complaints. Like, the upstairs, you know, they heard profanity from the downstairs tenants, and what can we do about it? And, you know, at the end of the day, we want them to feel comfortable in their own home.
Right.
But it's also setting the guidelines of, you know, this is, if you're going to live with someone, like on the top of someone, you're going to have to have a conversation, an adult conversation. But I think one of the ones that keeps popping into my head though is having an all-inclusive, and a tenant actually was doing laundry service for her friends, and
that's nice.
So, you know, you just have to make the rules clear up front. You know, you're not allowed to do that. This is a luxury and a privilege, you know, it comes along with the rent.
That's
and it is.
How do you control that, right?
It is hard.
Yeah, I've had to learn to think of it more as business, because I get emotionally attached to tenants.
That's a great point. Yeah.
And that's one thing.
And it's not personal. Like, it's
It isn't,
people are doing what they're going to do for their own reasons.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, listen, you know what? Everything goes up. That's why you raise rents. You know what? If you're going to have if someone's going to take advantage of utilities, it is what it is.
And
You
you
know?
just have to kind of digest it and just, it's good.
It's all
There's
part
so
of
many
it.
more positives though,
But
right?
it's always a learning curve, though.
Yes.
Like, even we said I went to court before. It was a learning curve if I ever got to do it again, right? Everything's a process. You got to learn.
Yeah.
So even with new tenants or duplexes or any kind of investment property you get into.
Yeah, it builds a foundation for growth. Like, I remember when I bought my first one, people used to say, oh man, like, what if people punch holes in the wall? What if people do this and do that? And at the end of the day, there's drywall, there's plaster, right?
Yeah.
I remember the worst one that I had was I had a hoarder one time.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of fun, you know. I had a hoarder, she eventually moved out, we had to go to the tribunal, we had to do the eviction and all that stuff. And I remember it was so bad, I opened up the basement door and I couldn't go downstairs.
Wow.
It was like literally for probably 18 months, they used the cellar as a garbage bin. So, but at the end of the day, terrible, disgusting, not fun. The story I like to tell at parties, and I get a little bit more graphic with it, right? But what it cost me 3 dumpsters, labor, do you know what I mean, to get it out? Not my labor.
I like buying those properties.
Totally. But you know what? At the end of the day, it was probably $2,500 to end up getting everything taken care of, and you make that up in cash flow over the next year and the next year. Right? What about you? You must have had some doozies.
We had a couple. I think the worst one is, like, what's crazy is I have a rule: don't rent to friends. I don't know, have you ever experienced this? Because
No, I haven't. Thank
so
goodness.
I bought a condo in Halifax, and I was going to move out there, never move it out there, and then I had a friend looking for an apartment, super good friend from out in the East Coast, and she ended up bringing a friend to move into the place. She ended up collecting rent from her friend and not paying me. And I was always like, 'cause I knew her mother, I knew her family, and she was like, I'll pay you later. So I was like, I'm a nice person, right? I'm pretty
totally.
reasonable.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, sure. It ended up being like 4, 5, 6, 7,
She was
8
an entrepreneur.
grand. It was almost 2 years, but she kept paying me a little bit here and there. So I was like, okay, fine, she'll pay me. Because I knew it, and now we're not friends.
Yeah.
And we were super good friends. So I don't ever want to get in a situation with my buddy about rent or somebody. So that's kind of one of my
So you have a
rules.
no friend rule, right?
I try not to. I haven't really rented to like my friends that are actually my buddies, just because I don't know. It's gonna be, if it becomes a money situation, I don't want to have a problem with it, right? Like, it's tough.
Or evicting a friend or evicting a
Or
family.
going through that, right?
Awful situation.
Yeah.
The end. Yeah.
No, I think that's great.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Do you think it's so, after everything that you learn now, do you think it's a good time to buy a house now? A lot of people end up saying like, oh my God,
always
it's
is,
so
right?
expensive.
It always is.
Always is.
What do you say to people that say like it's so expensive right now? It's so expensive right now. What would you guys? Because you guys are influencers in your community. What do you tell people
I'll
when they
tell
say that?
them you just need a good negotiator on your side because, oh my goodness, I haven't, there's so much room to play with right now. I think it's a fantastic time to buy.
Yeah.
Fantastic, yeah. And I think, yesterday was a good time,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The next best time is now. Right?
Yeah,
kind of thing, right?
for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. Do you think?
Well, we're looking now. We missed one last week, so we're constantly looking. I think the prices are kind of slow and dying off, and the offers are coming in, as quick. So you have more time, and again, more to negotiate a little bit. But it's the houses that are priced right that you're going to bet on, right? Because there's some houses that are overpriced in this, in this market. Because people still think it's a market that was, a few months back or last year. But I think it's going to be a great time to buy over the next couple of months for sure.
I agree too. And I always throw out my favorite quote, Warren Buffett. He says, "When people are fearful, be greedy."
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
And when people are greedy, be fearful. And I think in the market conditions right now is one that's conducive to uncertainty.
Yeah.
When people are uncertain, they don't know what to do. I totally agree. It's a great time to buy.
Yes, yeah,
Right?
I do. I wish I had just $1 bajillion right now.
Don't we all, right?
I know.
Well, you know what? That leads to a great point when it comes down to what do you guys think about partnerships, right? Because I think somebody buys one house, somebody buys two houses. Banking conditions right now, we can find money, but it sucks. Like it's really hard to get money right now because of all the new mortgage rules that come out.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are getting into partnerships, right? What do you guys think about partnerships when it comes down to real estate investments?
I love them.
Yeah?
I'm like super lucky because my boyfriend or whatever we call each other.
That's another show.
I have 2 investment properties with him, and honestly, I find where he has his strengths, like he's able to run it like a business and not get emotionally attached to tenants.
Cool.
Has helped me grow more into that. So I like it. I think it helps definitely. I mean,
I
the
agree,
down payment is 50-50 this way, we've done it, and it definitely has allowed me, I think, to get more in a shorter time
Yeah,
period.
I agree. I used to have a saying that I heard before that said I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own.
Yeah.
Right? And I think you can do that
For sure.
with partnerships, right? And I know you like partnerships, right?
I do now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
With good partners.
yeah, exactly. The thing is, we bought a bunch of properties the last couple of years, my wife and I. So that's my number one partner, right?
And it should be.
Right now we have 4, and then we have 3 with other partners.
Yeah.
So I think it depends what your situation is. If you need, if you don't have, sometimes if you don't have enough money, you can partner with 1 or 2 people, or just part with 1 person. I've done co-partnerships where we go 50-50.
Yeah.
I've done partnerships where I take care of the property and we're still partners 50-50 and they come up with the financials.
I love it.
So there's different ways to do it. There's so many, you can be so creative with real estate.
Oh my God.
And I think that's important. I 100% agree because I used to be limited in my thinking. I used to think it had to be all me with the money, right?
Yeah.
You actually helped open me up to that as well too with some partnerships.
Great.
So
For sure, because it's different. Like you can find different ways, and everyone has a different avenue to money or to how to get it or how to make it. So you got to just, I guess, listen to people, network with other people, and try to figure out what your situation is.
Well, and I think for anybody young checking this out, like, you know, the millennials who say, I can't afford it, I don't have it, but if you've got time, there's money partners and then there's time partners. There's people that have money that want to invest in real estate but are scared shitless to do so, right? But if you have someone and you don't have the money and you put together a business plan and say, hey, I'll find the property, I'll take care of it, I'll cut the lawn, I'll go to the tribunal, I'll do everything, that's worth something.
It's amazing.
Right?
Yeah, that's what I've done in the past. So
Yeah,
and it's worked out last couple times for sure. I've got partners still want to do more now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way to do it. And I bring that up because I used to be shy about partnerships.
Me too, because you're scared, right?
Well, I think it comes from your parents. It's like, oh, I'm getting married to this person forever, right?
Yeah.
But it's like,
But I always say too, it's usually my buddies that I partner with, and I say,
Yeah.
listen, if this doesn't work, the first one, it's a partnership, it's a business. After that, we won't do it, and we'll still be buddies. Just, you know, there's got to be a trust, really. That's
so you won't rent to them, but you'll buy property with them.
We both make money now, right?
Yeah, no, I'm joking. Right?
Just
I
have
think
it
that's
all
cool.
outlined ahead of time,
Yeah.
you know?
I think that's important, the expectations. Like, what are we expecting to do here, right? Like having a good conversation up front and making sure that it's like, I'm a paper guy, that's my banking background and that. And I think you have the expectations, you have it on paper, you know what everybody's expecting on the in and the out, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. So what would you guys say, you know what, when we're sort of wrapping up and stuff like that, what would you guys say when it comes down to giving people advice to like invest in real estate? What would your advice be for someone on the fence? What would you tell them?
Oh my goodness. Do it. Let's talk. Like, it's honestly, it's
That's where we flash the number below.
Yeah.
Shannon, Sullivan.
No, it's honestly, it's changed my life. Just so many goods. We've able to even like a car payment for our construction crew. It's helped us finance that. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that has come about it, and it's I'm grateful.
Like the pros far away. Like, it's just kind of one of those things that any of the bullshit you had to deal with, any of the challenges are forgotten.
Yeah.
Because of the
positive outweigh like immensely. Yeah. So I really think, and it's not as scary, honestly. Once you pull the trigger, like you said, things will fall into place, and there's so many people to help you there, to walk you through each and every step, and you know, it's really great there, and people want to help you, you know, build your wealth through real estate. So
cool.
do it.
What about you, buddy? What would you say, like, for someone that's on the fence? You know, you're going to tell your daughter one day, and she said, Dad, there's no way I'm investing in real estate.
When can she buy a property?
We're already trying to get her pre-approved. Yeah. Okay, what? How old is she now? Yeah.
5? She's 5.
She's
seven, right?
Couple more years. Yeah.
But no, I mean, we bought so many properties since 2013. I think we bought 18 properties. So
Totally.
It's been a good backing for us, right? So you always say, I wish you bought more. So people try to find ways to make money, right? There's different ways. Stock markets, there's different stuff. I always look at a stock market. So if the stock market crashes, you put money into it, what happens? Your money's gone.
Yeah.
You put into a property, you still have an asset, right? If you want to sell it, but if you can't sell it, even if the market crashes, you can still rent it, right? And rents are always going to increase. And right now, they're pretty good in Hamilton. So I mean, I think it's a good asset to have. And actually, after it goes up, we've made our money over the years. I don't think you made money on cash flow because we always had single family houses. But over the last 3 years since we bought, the property's gone up, you know, 200,000, 300,000, whatever it is. So now if you sell them or you pull the money out and buy another one, it gives you so much more opportunity to do what you want to do.
Yeah, totally. I love what you said about the stocks too, because I think with the stock market, like, I'm kind of a control freak, you know? In case you didn't know. Anyway, But the idea was stock, you can't do anything to it. You said, like, if it goes down, I can do zero to influence the value of it, right? Whereas with a house, you can paint the trim, you can paint the eaves troughs, you can reshingle it, you can do a ton of things to influence that value, right? Stocks, you buy, hold, and pray. It's kind of like the way that I look at it. I'm a little bit biased on that, but I think it's like...
Yeah, but if you stocks, you can pull the money out, even if the property goes back, you know, if you put money down on it and it goes up, you can pull some money out and do something else with it, right? Put it into stocks if you want.
Well, and you know what? Well, you can, right? And the thing is, too, is like the leverage that real estate can get you is, I think it's far better than what, say, stocks. Yeah, you can leverage stocks, but how you leverage real estate, like, I don't know anywhere else where you can leverage, you know, 500,000 with 100. Do you know what I mean? So your growth on real estate, so if $500,000 is going up by 5%, you only put $100,000 in. Do you know what I mean? Like it leverages so much and so quickly.
And where else can you
right?
borrow with 500,000 at 3-4%, right?
I know.
Not too
really,
far.
Real estate.
And then lastly, guys, what would you stay away from? You give anybody advice here. Is there anything for the first-time buyers or anything that you would say, listen, you know what, for your first one, stay away from this. Don't do this.
I think, you want to go ahead?
Well, I would just say like they're like sometimes people think condos are really easy peasy, good investment. I would just evaluate it ahead of time and see where the condo fee is, because depending on what you can get for rent, you know, you might be out money every month,
Yes,
right?
I agree with that.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe even just breaking even. So that's something, just plan ahead and talk to someone. You know, just. Yeah.
And are you talking about new condos, like new spec, or any condo kind of?
I would say any condo, but usually it's like the older ones that just in the last little bit where I find the condo fee has been a bit higher. So it might be easier because they take care of everything, but you just have to really work the numbers and see what helps for you, what you're looking for, right? Everyone's goals are different.
Because if your cash flow's not there, you can only buy so many properties that are losing money.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Like so.
Exactly.
That's a very good point, though. I like that because I look at it as second tax, right? Because like it's
Look at it as what?
second tax. So you pay taxes,
Yeah.
but if your property taxes are $400 a month, that's $5,000 a year,
Yes.
right? That's new windows 1 year. Next year it's a new porch or something like that. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
So would you say, give the same advice, someone what to stay away from? You'd sort of stay away from that kind of
I'm
thing?
scared of two things: water problems and foundation.
So you're not buying waterfront? Is that what you're saying?
No, not waterfront. Yeah, right. I want a cottage. No, water problems like property.
That's another show. I like. I want
No, that's we've had issues with a lot of water. So
water scares the shit out of me.
that.
In the basement.
It's like my worst
Well,
enemy.
no, not even, because if the eavesdrops are leaking, it comes down the wall and it runs into the house, right? It goes through the different floors. So there's we've had so much stuff, like, and we had a ceiling collapse on a tenant, and so that's another horror story.
Oh, yeah, let's not talk about that one. Okay.
But I mean, just that or foundation, those two things are big problems. That
Yeah. Those are huge problems, right?
Want to deal with quick if you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think, you know what, guys, I really appreciate you guys taking the time, because like you guys are walking it, you're talking it, and you've actually done it. You know what I mean? Like you've retired twice. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You
not
ended up
yet.
going from the CFL, but like you'll get there. You know?
Soon.
But like the whole idea is like, and getting people to do it. So if you ever want advice, I know Dave's always open to it. Shannon's the best person to talk to about investment properties. And hey, while you're at it, call a Mission35 mortgage agent too. You know what I mean? We can pre-approve you. But and I want to thank Collective Arts for keeping us with lunch money here. So cheers, guys. Cheers. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much, and tune in next time. Okay, make this a fabulous day.